Welcome to the Igniting Change podcast. My name is Duncan Cook, founder of Three-Sided Cube, trusted technology partner for some world-changing organizations. We know the power that technology has to have a positive impact on people's lives. But on this podcast, myself and my co-hosts Puff and Sophie are out to meet the people behind the technology, hear their stories and understand what drives them, and hopefully inspire others to join the mission and do some good in the world.
Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. I am absolutely delighted to have a very special guest on our show today. Nicole, did you want to intro yourself? Tell us who you are and what organisation you are with.
Thank you so much, Puff. I really appreciate being here today and so excited to speak with you all. My name is Nicole Levitz. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Senior Director for Digital Health Interventions and Insights at the Planned Parenthood Federation of America.
Amazing.
PPFA is a 100-year-old organization. We're a nonprofit providing and promoting innovative, affordable, evidence-based sexual and reproductive health care in the United States and serve 2.13 million people every year for their care. We also provide fact-based and age-appropriate sex education and information, reaching 1.2 million people in person and 200 million people last year online, working to protect and expand reproductive rights across the United States through our advocacy arm as well with our Planned Parenthood Action Fund, which is not something I will speak to today.
Oh my gosh, what an incredible impact. And that reach that you have is amazing. So, Nicole, how did you get to where you're at today? Like, is this something you always knew that you wanted to do?
It's a great question. You know, I have been in sexual health work for almost 20 years now. It's really the passion of my life. There was no scenario where I would have thought I was working in technology and in digital in particular, and that was a very happy accident. But it's about meeting people where they are.
Yeah.
It's where they are right now.
Amazing. So, right. This is a very special episode. We are very focused on International Women's Day, which is something super important to us here at Three-Sided Cube. So our questions are all in that theme. So the first question I have for you today, Nicole, is why do you think it's important for more women to join the tech industry, and how do you see them shaping the future?
Thanks, Puff. It's a very compelling question. I mean, it's absolutely important for women, for people of color, for trans folks, non-binary folks, to be encouraged to engage in tech. It has been a patriarchal industry for a long time and have been underrepresented consistently. What we've seen in having folks in leadership roles and guiding the stories of our products, we have greater diversity and better products that are serving users in the way that they need to be served. So really, ultimately, anyone who is impacted by the tech industry and emerging technology, which is everybody, should be representative in technology and among those who are doing the research, who are looking at the data, who are making and shaping products and implementing these technologies.
Such a good answer to that question, Nicole. Thank you. And tell me, in your experience, Nicole, are you, and I'm not, this isn't just for your team at Planned Parenthood, but is your experience of the tech kind of sphere, tech industry, that it is very male dominated, or has your experience been somewhat different to that?
You know, I would say mine is different for the things that I'm working on. And I think that speaks to having more diversity in technology. And we're seeing folks create products that they need, that they know that users are not getting in other places. So as we see greater diversity with women and folks of color and non-binary people and trans folks showing up in these jobs, they're creating responsive products, and it's starting to change. And I have the good luck of living among technologies that are really designed with and for these folks.
Which is amazing. And you know what? That isn't the case for everyone. So that's awesome to hear that that's happening. I guess certainly from my perspective, I would like to see the pace of change be quicker. Like, I want more diversity and I want it now. And it's so wonderful to hear that this is happening, and shining a light on this, like, that it is happening now, which is fantastic, but we just need to see more of it, right? And quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're getting there. It's change is hard and slow, more than it should be. But it's incredible to see these like really specific vignettes that seem telling. So I was talking to a colleague yesterday about this, but I'm a mom, a kindergartner, and in his kindergarten class, he's taking technology, which happens to be his favorite class. No big deal. But when I was taking a computer class, we were like sharing a ancient dinosaur desktop computer and learning to type and like the home row. This is like a whole other world, and they're 5. So they're programming these bots, like physical robots that are shaped like bees. And this is an activity for a 5-year-old. And I think, very luckily that he is in the Chicago Public Schools and they have invested in this. And we're starting to see this exposure so much younger, because similarly, my 2-year-old can pick up my iPhone and use it, right? And this immersion is going to lead to more people being interested in tech and engaging in it and really making this what the future will look like and defining their own futures.
It's really exciting. So, Nicole, like you, I've got 3 children now. 2 daughters, 11 and 7, 8, and I have a baby boy who is about 5.5 months, and it's been fascinating for me to watch how my daughters are starting to use technology and how they navigate. So I remember the days where I would have a clicky mouse and I would be navigating with a mouse, right? And then kind of, we moved to touchscreens and you're using your finger more. And obviously that's what we're doing, or quite a lot of people are doing on mobile devices, right? Whether it's a tablet, whether it's a mobile phone. And it's utterly fascinating to me to watch my daughters, because it's kind of like using a finger is almost too hard for them. And the thought of typing, like they can type, but like they use voice, and it's just I'm learning stuff off them, which is amazing. But you're right, it's starting so early on now, which is incredibly exciting. But what does that mean for the next 5 or 10 years? What's their future going to look like, and just how ingrained technology in their lives is going to be? Because it is, I use it every day in all different shapes and forms. And I recorded an episode last week, and I'm not going to name names, but the lady I was speaking with, she was like, "Oh, I don't consider myself to be in the tech world." And then when we kind of got into the detail, I was like, "Well, what do you use? Talk about your average day." And then actually she kind of took a step back and she was like, "Oh my gosh, like I do so much with tech. I just didn't even think of myself as doing so much with tech." So it's fascinating how people are kind of viewing the tech space, really, because I think a lot of us use technology unknowingly so now, and it touches so many different aspects of our lives that we almost take it for granted.
I think that's right, and it's just part of life. It's another tool for our tool belt, and it's something we think about as just part of life, and that becomes, I think, the conduit for us evolving what those technologies will look like, because it will be so much a part of everyone's life.
But I love that, the point that you made earlier, just in terms of it's so important to have diversity in tech, because that will really lead to incredible solutions that help everyone, not just kind of like mainstream audiences. but people that actually perhaps need it the most. And quite a lot of the time, certainly, like it's really interesting to hear you talk about the diversity that you have. Planned Parenthood, like that to me is really inspiring, and I think it's important for anyone listening today. Don't underestimate the importance of that, because that really will help you cater to so many different user types and produce like better quality products, really better targeted products.
Yeah, absolutely. And we really pride ourselves on that. And get into more of the specific product stuff in a little bit.
So my next question for you, Nicole, is what advice do you have for young women aspiring to pursue a career in technology? So, like, are there any specific skills or qualities they should focus on developing?
It's a great question. I think because of the complexities and how it's so much part of our lives, there's no one specific answer. But from my perspective, there's sort of two skills that I would bring to this space. One being curiosity, sort of getting at this interest in the world and tackling questions and being curious. And I think the other piece is resilience, which we see in the world that I live in a lot, serving not only the technology side, but the work and making change in the world. Because when you're building products, as you know, failure and iteration becomes essential to making good work, right? And feeling good about trying something, it not working, and trying again, and having the skill in your own self to think about the world like that, to ask those good questions and be curious, and to explore something and maybe get there and maybe not, and picking yourself back up and going back into another question. So those would be the two skills that I would lift. I did not have a linear trajectory here, but I would say that STEM programs in general serve that curiosity and serve that resilience, right? I am a researcher by training and a total science nerd, and really feel that STEM programs are the best way to equip all young people for their current and future landscape of tech as that continues to evolve, because you will keep learning new science, better diving into those technologies. And it can benefit even folks who don't end up going into tech. It doesn't need to be a career in tech, as we were just talking about. Everyone is immersed in technology every single day, and having an understanding of STEM in particular will serve you in your life to make choices and think about how you want to use technology in your own life, especially as it continues to rapidly evolve, right? We need to think about what feels good for ourselves, because it affects us all, whether we work in the tech industry or not. It is so increasingly important, especially for young folks, to be equipped with an understanding of it and to make their own choices.
Something you said, kind of like at the start of that point, just around failure being essential. Now, that's a really strong statement, and something I totally agree with, because it's true. Like, you have to be resilient, and that's really hard. But I guess it depends, like how you've been raised, how you've grown up, what you've been surrounded by. But failure is okay, right? It's what we learn from that and how we inject those insights and into kind of how we move forwards. And I think certainly in this space, in any space, to be honest with you, it's important. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to, if you make a mistake or if something doesn't work, it's okay to take the learnings and then put that into something else and try again. It's funny how, I guess, maybe when I was at the start of my career, I really struggled with that. I don't think I was as resilient. I mean, I'm more resilient now, but certainly at the very start of my career, that was something I massively struggled with. So, if you are listening and you are struggling with that, and you're and you're worried or you're feeling anxious about it, it's okay. And if you're in a place that is saying it's not okay, well, maybe like we need to chat about the culture. But I think overall, nothing works first time. I mean, I feel like someone's going to prove me wrong there, but very, very rarely does something work first time. Like, there are going to need to be several iterations, whether or not it's a technical product or whether or not it's a service that you're offering. Like, you need to think about the concept of continuous improvement, right? You're going to constantly iterate until you get to a very good solution. And I think maybe there's a perception that people do get it right first time and it just happens really, really quickly. But actually, a lot of really impactful solutions out there take years, whether or not it's the research and development that's gone on before something's actually started to be put together, whether you're, designing and building something technically or whether or not you're designing and building a service, like whatever it is, there's so much effort that's gone into it, and so much, I guess, like, it's all the behind the scenes work and the prep, research, insights, the energy that it's taken. And it's never just one person, it's always a team of people. But it's all the stuff that you can't see.
Right. No, I think that similarly applies to the career piece. Like, we think it's a linear process. And at least my career in technology was not linear at all. And understanding that, like, that's okay, right? It's sort of coming to this resilience, and opportunities will arise as these technologies become more and more of our lives across whatever your skills in, and to not be afraid of tech. And I think that was a real challenge for me. I have a degree in public health. I am a sex educator by training. I spent an enormous amount of time working around sexual health in very specific health promotion and research ways. And I really understand how to write a research question and analyze it and think about these issues, but I hadn't looked at tech as its own arena until I fell into a job in it. It was sort of this marriage of technology and sexual health that brought me along. But you can learn a new vocabulary. And I think it is more than that, but not being afraid to step into something that's new and bring along the skills that you have to help you along the way. It really makes an enormous difference in your comfort level. At least it did for me. And I think that's something to think about. If you're interested in technology, but you've been working in some other space, you can actually bring those other skills over, and it will serve you really beneficially in tech, because it just looks so many different ways now.
I totally agree. And you can bring a new perspective with it, because quite often, and again, it's recording these podcasts has been amazing. I'll get on to the podcast, and sometimes people might be like, oh, I'm not overly technical. But then they all, like, again, when you kind of push around, and I think they perhaps realize, oh, actually, I probably do know more than I think I know. We're not saying you're a developer or you do, like, you don't have to be. I think ultimately technology enables us to do so many things, right? The technology isn't the solution. The technology can enable a solution, but it's not the solution. And I think it's having that mindset of knowing that technology is not going to solve everything. It's really not. But technology can definitely aid and help. It can help people scale solutions. It can help people qualify stuff. Like, it can do lots of amazing things. But it's almost like, and this is why I love doing this podcast, because we get to really highlight some of the amazing things that technology can do. Because I think quite often it's got quite a bad reputation. There's this like really negative, bad perception that, I don't know, it's all about social media and it's all men behind it. Like, that is absolutely not the case. Yes, I don't think we're where we need to be right now, but like, there is there's so much more to this. And, we've both kind of said it, but it touches most job roles out there in some way, shape, or form. People will be using existing software. They might be creating their own software, but there's, if you're doing something with data or data visualization, quite often you're going to need to lean on third-party tools to help you do that. So it touches everything, but not just in the professional space, but certainly in the personal space as well. I mean, I use it, my banking, like, always got a phone on me. I'm always, if I can do something and shortcut something so I don't need to make a phone call, because I've got 3 kids, I've got a baby hanging off me. Like, I don't always have the time to be able to do that. So it really can, I think, make our lives easier and do some good things. Something you said about being curious as well, like, I think that's a really good highlight there, because quite often, especially now, I don't know why, but certainly over the past, I'd say maybe 3 months, I've noticed a massive difference in terms of the landscape, in terms of like some of the software that I use and how it's changing, and everyone's talking about AI and what that means. But it just feels like there's so many new tools. It can be quite overwhelming at times, and I don't know what I should use, where I should go, who I should speak to about advice. It can be like really hard, but I think being curious is a really good quality to have, because you can go off and have a play and experiment, and then it's coming back to that, well, don't be afraid to fail, because if something doesn't work, then it's okay. Like, there'll be other chances, there'll be other opportunities, you can evolve what you're doing. But I've got a little example, so that's something happening internally at Three Sided Cube. So I'm based in the US. I've got some of the team. We've got the team dotted all around, but we've got some of the team in the UK. And since having a baby and coming back to the workplace, asynchronous comms has become really important to me. Okay, and reading walls of text on Slack or on email or whatever format just doesn't always fill me with joy. Like, there are other mediums I would like to use, and we've started using a tool called Loom more, where we're recording like videos, and then I can send a video, but they're like really short, sharp videos that I can send to the team, and it's a much more, I found it to be really enjoyable, but B, more personal way of dealing with the team. And then, if you're writing a long message, and sometimes I don't know about you, I worry about my tone and lots of other things that you can't really put across in a written message. And actually, for me, that's been really cool and really helpful, and it's massively benefited, I think, internal relationships, especially when you're straddling different time zones. And I think being curious and and brave and playing about with a new tool is a really good thing to do. But in the same breath, I've got people in the team that absolutely hate it. Like, they feel like they have to re-record their Loom videos like 20 different times, but that's okay, because I think nowadays there's such a plethora of choice that there's never going to be a one size fits all. You've got to be curious and find what works for you and what tools work for you and benefit you, and then tailor accordingly for your audience, I guess.
Right, and I think that comes back to needing that wide range of tools available, designed by a wide range of people, right? Because there's not going to be a one-stop solution for anything, and making sure that we create the tools that people need and meet them where they are.
Amazing. Final question, Nicole. So, in what ways do you see technology being used to address societal challenges, and how can women in tech, I guess, contribute to positive social impact through their work?
Well, Puff, this one's hard for me because this is my bread and butter, right? This is what Planned Parenthood's tech teams do, and have the great luck of being on an incredible team for our digital products folks, and working with incredible people across the national office. And I'm so grateful for for the diversity there and their passion and curiosity and resilience, tackling great societal change and challenges. And I have a few examples of products that I think I want to lift today, if that sounds okay.
Absolutely. Come on, share away.
Thank you. It just, technology has created unparalleled opportunities to reach people faster, more personalized ways, more efficiently. And Planned Parenthood takes that very seriously. We want to create products that meet people where they are when they need us and expand access to sexual and reproductive health care and information. Education is essential to our work as well as care. And we're committed to using innovation to empower our patients, to empower our users with the information they need and the expert health care that they need, even in the face of hostile legislative climates. And I'll talk about that a little bit more, but we really continue to look for innovative ways to use tech to get people to what they need, no matter where they are, no matter who they are. And that really becomes the heart of this work. And we continue to analyze what's happening across the space in healthcare and tech to make sure we are using our digital tools to meet user needs as they evolve. And the first example that I want to lift is probably the most obvious in some ways, but like many healthcare organizations, in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, we doubled down on telehealth and telemedicine and making sure that we were getting people to the care they needed, whether they were leaving their house or not. And our Planned Parenthood Direct app served a really unique role in that moment. Now, Planned Parenthood Direct serves birth control, or hormonal birth control, one form of emergency contraception, and UTI treatment. And those are the three services that we provide via the app at this point. And you don't need to go to a health center at all, right? So there's a unique opportunity in the moment where no one was going much of anywhere to reach people and expanding access to reproductive health care. I think one of the things that we are exploring and continue to learn more about in the wake of growing restrictions and bans on sexual and reproductive health care, this app is going to probably serve a new role and continue to serve the channel to reach people directly in their homes in a way that we weren't thinking about pre-pandemic. And we know that folks struggle to get to the healthcare in person, whether that's from transportation or cost or having a child hanging off of you. The reality for many people, and understanding that we want to meet people in the home if they want to be there, right? Again, for this diversity of applications and tools representing the diversity of people that we serve and the people who are making it. I think another example that is near and dear to my heart, they're chat products. So I came to Planned Parenthood to lead our chat text, which is our live chat program. We have educators across the country answering people's questions in real time via text and instant message around their sexual health. About 3 years into my tenure, we took the learnings from that and designed a sex ed chatbot named Rue, which is AI powered and is the first of a kind tool. And it delivers personalized health information to people, specifically young people, on demand. We will talk to anybody 24/7, but the bot was initially designed for our youngest users, and we continue to see young people predominantly using it. Slightly older than we anticipated, which we could talk about another time.
I'm really fascinated by that, because how much older than you were anticipating?
Well, initially the bot was designed for 13 to 17-year-olds, and we wanted to focus on normalizing bodies, essentially. So whether it was getting your period for the first time, masturbation, puberty, and bots are really good at reassurance. So it's just, the message was, you are normal, everything is okay. And what we found, like everything else Planned Parenthood, users wanted to see a wider range of things from us. And that included information about pregnancy and STIs and emergency contraception and birth control and abortion and the full gamut. And also representatively of our wider patient population, most of the folks who have been talking to us are within this age range of 18 to 29-year-olds who are sexually active and are often engaged in these questions more than others.
That's amazing. So how long has this chatbot been out?
We're going to check if I have it in my notes, but I don't want to misspeak. I think it would have been. So I started at Planned Parenthood in 2015. I think it was the very end of 2019. No, it had to be. Let's say 2019.
But
don't quote me on it.
I think that's really ahead of the curve. And I would imagine, or and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's continuously improved as you've got learnings and insights from how people are using that. You've kind of pushed that forward and evolved it.
Yeah, drastically. And I think one of the things in the wake of the Dobbs decision, which if folks aren't familiar, was what we can affectionately say the end of Roe v. Wade, we found more and more questions around abortion and pregnancy and changed the app to serve that. So you'll see abortion is now one of our top topics. They have an additional section of information around help, and the way that we organize the app and the key questions at the top are really responsive continually to what we see people asking.
That's amazing. So for anyone listening, you want to know more, I guess you can, because you talked about the app, but then you talked about the chatbot. So
it's a chatbot. It's not an app.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I misspoke.
No worries. So they can find the chatbot on the Planned Parenthood website, or does it live in other places, or is it just there?
It is just on the site for now.
Amazing. That's awesome. And it's funny, I mean, I don't know, I can really relate to this. Like I said, I've got 2 daughters, my eldest daughter going through changes at the moment, and just I try and be quite open, like as a mum, you just try and do all you can, but to actually have like something neutral that she can go off and ask questions to, or, start to build her confidence, her understanding, her education around that. It's an incredibly powerful tool. And by the sounds of it, it's obviously just become even more important for you guys if more people are going there. And obviously, the climate perhaps probably being a catalyst for more and more people to come and ask certain different types of questions.
And there's a unique comfort in engaging a chatbot, right? Like, we know research shows that chatbot technology lowers fears and increases willingness to discuss sensitive topics. And Rue helps reduce stigma by providing judgment-free answers to questions that are medically accurate that you couldn't get anywhere else. So I think as a parent, it becomes important to be able to send your child to somewhere where they're going to get the accurate information they need in a way that they feel comfortable engaging with it.
Absolutely. But also something, and it's, I guess, would be super important, but it's when they need it. So
absolutely.
You talked about it, this is available 24/7. And I was having this really random, very similar conversation with Sarah from Relate, which is a UK not-for-profit organisation dealing with relationships. And actually, the time in which people need help the most is often like outside of business hours, because you do your day-to-day, right? You're at work or you're at school or whatever. And then you get to the end of your day after dinner, you probably sit down, and it's maybe at that moment, at that time, that you have time to think about something, and you might want to ask a question or you might want to ask for help, but standard business hours support just doesn't cut it these days. Like, you're not going to wait and phone someone when you're meant to be in a 9 a.m. meeting or something. Like, it just doesn't, life doesn't seem to work like that now. So actually, a chatbot can be incredibly powerful to help you scale a service and allow you to cover that 24/7 rather than just during business hours, and having real people, which is expensive. It can be very expensive, but also very difficult to manage. And I'm not saying a chatbot's easy, like, I know it's not, but that must have definitely helped with being able to scale the reach that you have as an organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we've seen on the live side consistently, folks come to us starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, and then really up until about 1 a.m. Eastern. We can unpack the why it's not 1 a.m. Pacific or Central, but we'll leave that alone for today. But to your good point, there aren't that many people that want to talk to us at 3 a.m. their time, but when they want to, they really want that answer. And we want to make sure that we're meeting them. And that's part of why Rue's so important, to complement and work together with the live educators so that folks have options to talk to a real life person or a bot, whatever is more comfortable for them, and when they want to talk.
And you said it earlier, and you're alluding to the point now, but you're meeting people where they are.
Exactly.
And I think that is absolutely crucial when you're trying to create the best possible solution to a challenge that you might be facing. So, Nicole, thank you so much for sharing those incredible examples. And I'm going to be checking that out personally for my daughters and for my own health. But thank you so much. Incredibly inspiring story, and I hope for those listening at home this has been super helpful. If you want more information, if you want to go and have a play with Rue, the chatbot, go to the Planned Parenthood website, have a play, engage, and hopefully be inspired. So yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. I really appreciate it, Puff.